Hey guys, I'm here to review and talk about Devil May Cry 2. This is the black sheep of the family for sure. It's really interesting though to actually play the game and just see how much they changed. It's because it's a direct sequel, but it's such a downgrade in so many ways. It's really shocking. So what's different in Devil May Cry 2 is, I think the one thing that everyone didn't like is that the handguns are just very powerful. You also have a rolling ability now, and combos are kind of really dumbed down to just really dumb effects. You basically have a weak attack, strong attack, and it feels, I don't know how to describe it. It feels extremely weird, extremely not what you'd expect. And there's dodging as well in the game, which doesn't work all that well. Everything in this game just feels imbalanced and not made very well. And it's so weird to see it as a direct sequel to Devil May Cry, simply because it just does not function at all like the other one. The other thing too is they have Lucia in this game, who's a new character you can play as. That sounds like a cool, like, new thing. The thing with her is that her devil trigger is actually an angel, and I think that's a really cool thing that they never really came back and revisited in the series. What would, someone's devil trigger or angel trigger look like? Another neat thing is that they now have equipable items that actually changes the type of devil trigger you activate, which is really interesting, I guess. I think what this game is most notorious for, though, is the fact that the helicopter boss, which is not only extremely frustrating and difficult to do, and the environments are much more larger and laid out, which I don't think necessarily is a bad thing, but it tells you about the design of this game. It's built much more like a big kind of beat 'em up world rather than a very close quarter action oriented combat game. And it's really quantity over quality in terms of the enemies that you are fighting. And basically what happens with the helicopter, matchup is that it's shooting missiles at you and you have to dodge them and you're not sure what to do at first and it won't come near to you. So the game really does want you to just blast it with your pistols until it dies. And it's almost like a brain dead, annoying boss. It's also interesting in this game that all of the enemies have health bars now, so you know exactly how much health it takes to kill them. And the other thing is that along with, your pistols being kind of overpowered, you kind of have very basic combos. The very advanced technical combos that you had in the previous game, they kind of feel watered down in this one. And they were kind of, I don't know, maybe they're influenced by something like Dynasty Warriors. That's the only thing I can imagine that they were kind of going for. And it was just not part of Devil May Cry's DNA. And thank God that this is the odd one out, because the rest of them are just absolutely fantastic. The other weird thing is that the final boss, I don't know why, but he just looks like Heihachi from Tekken. And it's just kind of a distracting thing, but it's a little bit funny at the same time. What's also interesting about this game is that technically in the Devil May Cry... I was gonna say, and then technically in the Devil May Cry fandom or lore, I was gonna say this is the most recent one, but that's not technically true since Devil May Cry 5 came out. But this was the most closest in the future for a while. And it ends on kind of a strange cliffhanger, essentially, where Dante actually basically kind of goes back to hell. And in Devil May Cry 5, that's never really brought up. I'm sure he just got out or something. But for the lore reasons, that was kind of odd. But in terms of other parts of the story, how does it match up? Well, Dante basically, Lucia is a jewel hunter, and she's basically looking for this artifact that can, control the demon world or whatever. And so she goes hunting for it, and she comes across Dante's path, and she's kind of similar to Mary from Devil May Cry 3 a little bit. She's like the heroine of the series, and I guess his possible love interest if people didn't despise this game as much as they do, but we do. It's not very good. I have to say though that the ending really does feel like a proper Devil May Cry ending, and the characters and archetypes do kind of fit with the vibe of Devil May Cry, even though the gameplay is just kind of eh. And that's the thing too, it's not simply terrible, it just feels very repetitive and monotonous. That's why I can only drive a relevant description to Dynasty Warriors, because that's almost what it feels like. It feels like you're just mashing buttons, waiting for the enemy to die, instead of the high action that you're used to, and the kind of stress-inducing environment where the enemies would be super unpredictable and attack you and have these certain telegraph moves that you could use against them. I think that's really because it's not terrible, it's serviceable, but Devil May Cry gameplay should not be serviceable, especially when it's the main draw of the game. Yeah. Again, everything about this game is very okay and all right and kind of forgettable. The final boss has a pretty cool design. The midpoint boss has a cool design when you fight the guy in his CEO tower. But everything else about this game is just kind of it just makes you go, eh. It's like that was fine. It was okay. There's nothing really amazing about this game, and it was just kind of like a misstep in the series. Do I recommend it? No, not really, unless you're a hardcore Devil May Cry fan and you just need to know what it was like. It's playable for sure, but it's just not super fun, which is funny, I guess. Anyway, not much else to say about this. Give it a try if you want, and just kind of see and understand immediately why people kind of dislike it so much. And with that being said, have a great day, guys. I'll see you later.